Hey, everybody, welcome back to I Know a Guy. I'm Anthony, and this is the podcast where connections thrive. Each episode, we spotlight inspiring entrepreneurs, professionals, and individuals doing amazing things. Together, we'll grow your circle, spark collaborations, and discover new opportunities. Today, we're meeting Luis Benitez. He's the founder of LGB Strategic Solutions, a business growth firm helping entrepreneurs maximize profits and reclaim their time. From overcoming early life challenges, including brain surgery at 18, to becoming a successful business owner, Luis brings grit, strategy, and heart to everything he does. How are you doing today, Luis?
I'm doing great, Anthony. How about you?
I'm doing fantastic. I couldn't be better. We're getting into the summer months. So everything's nice out and getting out in the sun. So get over that seasonal depression everybody's dealing with. But I'm doing fantastic.
It's a beautiful day here in New Hampshire, so what can I say? We can't complain.
Yeah. Well, that was going to be my first question: is where you're calling in from. Have you been there for a while, or are you newer to the area?
Yeah, no, I have been in New Hampshire for over 6 years now, I believe. I think so, yeah. Before I used to live in Mass, but I am proud to be a live free or die hard New Hampshirean, I guess. Maybe that's what we call each other. I don't know.
No, but 6 years. Okay, so you have your haunts. If you have some friends coming into town to visit that I've never visited before, where are you going? What are you doing? And what's for dinner?
Oh, for sure. Definitely. The best place to go would be the White Mountains up near North Conway, like probably one of the best places to go. Great restaurants in that area as well. But one of the things that are famous up here are like breweries, for sure. So, just like Googling any breweries in New Hampshire, you'll get like really good experience and really good beer.
Yeah, that sounds fantastic. I like a good brewery. If you're at one, are you more of like an IPA, sour? What kind of a beer guy are you?
IPA for sure. And I know there are several places in New Hampshire that are very famous for IPAs, especially in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. Very famous for IPAs up there and great lobsters too.
Awesome. Well, yeah, I'll have to check it out sometime. I like a good sour. I'm not a huge fan of IPAs. They're okay,
Oh, yeah.
but yeah. So awesome. Well, what can you tell us about what you do?
Yeah. So one of the things I do is I have been an accountant and bookkeeper for 7+ years. I've specialized particularly in the construction industry, but I've also worked in the retail and restaurant and bar kind of industry. And initially, what I really like to do is I really like to provide people with the tools and the strategies for small business owners to grow their business. So I like to call accounting and bookkeeping a skill, but I like to specialize in growth. So that's more like the area where I focus primarily. So that's why I don't call myself an accountant. I don't call myself a bookkeeper. I like to call myself a growth specialist because every business has a different growth journey. Not everybody goes through the same stages or the same areas, if that makes any sense. And everybody goes through all kinds of different walk journeys in life. And so I like to meet them where they're at and find them ways to grow, whether it's through accounting, whether it's through bookkeeping and compliance, whether it's through tax strategy or marketing strategies, or even just the utilization of AI software so that they can get where they need to get.
Okay. Well, how'd you get started doing this?
So I started my firm about 4 months ago. I had been a finance manager for a construction company owned by my brother-in-law for about 5.5 years. We helped him grow his business from a 500K a month, 500K a year business into a $1.5 million a year business in within 1.5 years. So that was quite an accomplishment on my end with him. And I just, from then, I fell in love with accounting. I ended up working for a mini supermarket down, in a different town in Massachusetts called Concord. I helped them for a little while, helped my sister with her salon business. So from the very beginning, I knew I had this talent of helping people grow, of helping businesses grow, of helping people see their abilities and their opportunities just by simply giving them financial clarity, which is one thing that I know for a fact the business owners, especially small business owners, when they're growing, they're trying to grow their small business. They tend to lack that aspect, But you know how it is, when you build a business for the first time and as you're in it for the first 3 or 4 months, you're doing everything. If you're operating a bar or a restaurant, you're I've met business owners where they're managing the kitchen, they're making the menu, but at the same time they're also doing their books, they're doing everything, and it gets to a point where it may seem efficient, but they're not really seeing the growth that they expect at the beginning, you know? And so I like to be like kind of like that roadmap, if that makes sense.
No, I gotcha. No, that's awesome. So, is that what you love most about what you're doing then?
Yeah, absolutely. To me, there are two things that I love the most. One is the obvious, which is seeing business owners grow their business and seeing that success from their hard work. Because one of the greatest things for me, or the greatest satisfaction, is to see that business owner just feel the satisfaction that they're actually being successful in their business and they're feeling less frustrated about their, you know, their finances or their income or their debt or their taxes. But the second most greatest thing for me that is valuable and that I really enjoy is giving them the ability to reclaim their time. And that's my motto as the business owner of LGB is I want to help business owners reclaim their time. I help, you know, I have seen business owners, you know, working 70, 80 hours a week, some of them working 6 days a week. They barely have time to see their kids or their wife or, you know, their family. And I know at times at the beginning that's a sacrifice they need to make. But when they're doing that, you know, 3 years, 5 years, 4 years, 6 years, it's like, if you're not divorced by then, I'm really surprised. But it's just one of those things where I'm passionate about helping people see that they can grow a business, be successful, enjoy their, you know, their entrepreneurship journey without having to sacrifice their personal life at the same time. There are so many ways to be efficient out here that you can build a strong business, feel successful, and still enjoy the time because, you know, our life here on earth is relatively short and we should really enjoy what we're doing. I became a business owner because I love what I do. If I became a business owner because I hate doing what I'm doing, I'm working endless hours, then that feels like a contradiction, you know?
Absolutely. Okay. What about like your average client? What does the avatar of that look like? Or what are the pain points that somebody might be going through that if they're dealing with X, Y, or Z, you're the person they should be talking
Yeah.
to?
So, yeah, perfect. Excellent questions. My average, I would say my average avatar is the, you know, the business owner who either has recently started or has been in business for about 2 or 3 years, and they just keep getting hammered with taxes. They file their taxes and they're getting, they're getting all these, these large tax liabilities, $20,000 owed to the IRS. Depending what state they are, if they're in Massachusetts, which is a very common state known as Taxachusetts, which they tax you for everything, is one of those states where it's like then you owe 5, 6, 7 grand to the state. And my I would say the ideal client and the people that I work with right now are people who are just frustrated that they're, you know, they started their business and they started to do well, they're starting to become popular, their revenue stream started to increase, they're starting to get really really busy, but then they do and they file taxes and they realize they missed on deductions, they missed on possible opportunities for tax savings and credits because they just simply weren't planning them correctly, or they just didn't have someone that can give them that guidance or that financial advice, give or take, to take advantage of those particular deductions. So precisely, I was talking to a business owner today who we signed contract precisely to work together here in Milford, New Hampshire, whose pain point is exactly that: boxes and boxes and piles of receipts and paperwork and documents. Not entirely sure if the business structure was done properly. Not entirely sure if you have if they're maximizing, you know, their tax deductions from leasing their equipment to inventory, you name it. Those are the pain points of most business owners, that they're good at their craft, but when it comes to these particular aspects of their business, when it comes to deductions for tax strategies, that to me is where I like to come in and say, hey, look, this might be overwhelming for you, but I can show you the path as to where you can maximize everything you possibly can at the end of the year before you file your taxes, so you're not blindsided by a $25,000 $30,000 tax bill that you could have reduced to, you know, 12, 11, 9, or 4, or even in some cases none, depending on all kinds of factors like depreciation methods or investments. So the pain points
Okay.
for the people that I like to work with is their their unknown ability of knowing whether or not they're actually doing the right strategy to lower their taxes as much as possible.
What about power partners? Who do you synergize well with as far as like referral relationships?
Yeah, absolutely. So I have great referrals within my organization. There's this amazing guy I work with who's a business owner in Illinois. His name is Rogelio Lopez. He does a lot of great tax strategy, and is his very specific expertise is helping restaurant and retail owners maximize savings for through referral programs that help them save taxes and help them save on fees on like a credit card and financial processing fees from like credit card companies like MasterCard and Visa. He has a great value to that. And so I have him close as a partner with me to help me with my clients so they can save money on processing fees from because most if you're running a retail store or a restaurant or a bar, you're taking credit cards. You're taking whether if it's you're accepting American Express, MasterCard, Visa, and you know that a lot of these businesses in this industry get hammered with processing fees from these vendors that collect the money and then deposit it into their account. And so Rogelio is one of the people that really helps in that area. So he partners with my firm to help our clients maximize their savings with credit card processing fees and stuff like that. He's also a great supply chain referral partner. So if anybody needs supplies or any kind of exports or imports, I go to him for those kind of situations because he does an amazing job finding the proper suppliers, especially when things are very uncertain with tariffs and stuff like that. So I also partner with multiple CPA firms. One of them is in Missouri, for example. They're the ones that we partner with to do taxes for our firm. So we have a really healthy and great network of great people that help us and my clients maximize and not just maximize their profits, but also just kind of save them the headache of having to shop for all these individual things. I know shopping for a CPA can be challenging from what I've heard.
Okay. No, that's interesting. Yeah, it's nice to have a nice, robust power partnerships, strategic alliances out there that you can synergize well with. So awesome. What advice would you give to a
Absolutely.
new or an aspiring entrepreneur?
So, my advice for a new aspiring entrepreneur is twofold. The first is I would say patience. I think one of the things that I know I lacked a little bit when I started my business was, I wanted things to be up and running immediately and everything wanted to be done at once. But the thing is things happen at the time that are meant to happen. So, being patient about everything that you do is very important because it'll encourage you to not give up on the dream that you're hoping the most to do. You're not going to walk into the expectation that you're going to open a business and everything's going to be perfect and that everything's going to fall into place all at once. Patience plays a huge role into building your business because that'll give you the opportunity and the tools to be able to motivate yourself and continue even when things go wrong and when you have struggles that happen along the way. The second thing I advise new entrepreneurs and business owners is just simply to not be afraid to try. I think that's one of the things that I struggled the most, even when I was in high school. It was one of those things where I was just too afraid to try something new. So I used to be very introverted, if that makes sense. And if something scared me, I just kind of stayed in my corner and didn't do anything. I just made these thoughts and possible imaginations of things going really great, but never really putting any action into it. So that second piece of the advice is if you have an idea and you feel like you have the ability to formulate it and do it, execute it, do it, make it happen. If you fail, you fail. Doesn't mean that you're a complete failure. Doesn't mean that you're not successful. It just means that you have a temporary setback that's going to lead you into your success. So, like, not being afraid to try something. If it's something that you feel like is new and unique and you think you can do it, go for it. The worst thing that could happen is that it just doesn't work. And then you try something new. That's the beauty of it. It doesn't have to be the end if that first idea doesn't work out. Go for the second one, then do for the third one, then fourth one. There's only thing that stops us from not doing what we need to do and what we want to build the dream business is just simply giving up and not trying the next thing. So, not being afraid of trying.
Absolutely. What's one way that small businesses can increase profits without adding more hours?
Absolutely. So, one way that businesses can do that is I like to, well, obviously the dynamics of the business kind of depend, but I'll give you a little case study, give or take, from From Marchex Development, who I worked with, we were, small business making between 500 and $900,000 a year, give or take at the time. And we at that time we didn't stay, we didn't hire new people. We still had the same crew. It was about 5, 6 people, and we realized that one of the things that was stopping at that business from maximizing the profits were multiple facets. But one of the things we did is, for example, look at their overall like expenditure and their equipment. And while it seemed like it was efficient to use used equipment, investing in new one, which was a little bit more expensive on the investment side, allowed the same crew to do more work and to complete more projects and land more projects because of how efficient they were, that their revenue and their profits and the bottom line just went from we went from a 12% to like about 27% increase in their bottom line without having to increase the hours, without having to increase, adding more staff into the projects. Because one of the things that lacked at the time was the equipment was breaking down frequently, for example. And while we didn't have monthly payments for those particular pieces of equipment, and some of them, it just something wasn't adding up. So we did a deep analysis on our current assets. We invested in new equipment that was more efficient, that had less downtime, and we doubled the revenue without having to hire more people. So with the right equipment, with the right tools, whether if it's in construction or restaurant or bar or whatever, there are ways in which you can find efficiencies that you can maximize your revenue and your profits. Like in this case with Marchex Development, in this case, the problem was the equipment that allowed the same crew to maximize and complete jobs more properly and with higher quality, that allowed the owner to land more jobs and increase the revenue and increase the profit margin significantly without having to cut too much into their bottom line.
Why do so many business owners struggle to enjoy their success?
That's a good question. I don't know. I know from experience between myself and other business owners that I know. I just think it has to do with the whole idea that what we do may just not be enough. If you're a business owner that care about your employees, care about the people because being a business owner is a huge responsibility. Especially if you have employees that work for you. You're the one who are feeding their families. You're the one who's giving them their opportunity to have a living. And to me, that's a big burden to have. It's a big responsibility. And I feel like in most cases, it's hard for business owners to feel like they're successful because they have that fear that they're going to fail and that they're going to let down the people that they are responsible for. Honestly, to me, it's just a psychological thing. To me, it's just psychologically impairing to people that they think that they feel like that if they fail, they're going to fail all their employees and the responsibility that they have for them. But I feel like you can overcome that by simply just sort of training yourself or training your thoughts to know that you're not gonna let fear get in the way of any of that. That if you're really good at your craft, you care for people, you care for the people that you're entrusted to. True leaders will take care of their own, regardless of what the situation or the challenges that they come in their business. So I think for me is more like, I think people, business owners kind of feel like that struggle to feel like they're successful because they fear that they're going to fail. And
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. How can better systems help entrepreneurs grow without burning out?
Absolutely. Right now, if you're a small business owner and you're not taking advantage of artificial intelligence, you're going to fall behind. You're going to fall behind on that wagon. And there are so many great tools out there that can literally help you be very efficient. And I'm not saying it in the way that it's going to replace people in your business or anything like that. But as a small business owner, you're growing a business, you're under $1 million a year, give or take. You can't be the kind of business that can afford, a full accounting department and a full marketing team and a full, PR and all these things. There are so many great tools out there that can give you those opportunities and that ability to do those things, especially in the marketing aspect, that can mainstream those things for you, and you can be very efficient and not have to burn out. Especially also when it comes to writing, you have their softwares out there, and even with accounting, you have softwares even like QuickBooks Online. They're already implementing great tools with artificial intelligence that help people, not just accountants but business owners, mainstream a lot of tasks so that they can, reclaim a lot of their time and be able to be efficient so that they can spend more time running their business and spend more time monitoring and understanding their business all in general without having to, work 70, 80, 90 hours a week. Not 90, might be pushing it, but working 6 days a week. And if you have kids, that's tough because then you're trying to help the wife and you're trying to help her with the kids and stuff. And that's where, it gets really tough. But there are so many tools out there, from accounting, from marketing, CRM software. I work with this guy who's also partnered with my firm. His name is Jeff Vicars. He owns an artificial CRM software as well, with artificial intelligence that help business owners mainstream things from phone calls to lead funnels to emails. We partner with him so we can help our clients be more efficient when it comes to those administrative tasks. So there's so many things out there that we can help with our partners and with all the tools that are available out there to maximize that efficiency and not burn out. Just because I have this beautiful saying that I saw, actually it was a post on LinkedIn. It came on my feed and it said, all of us are capable of learning anything. If you want to set yourself to learn how to play guitar, you can play guitar. If you can set yourself to learn how to do bookkeeping, you can do it. But that doesn't mean that you have to do everything. So I love that quote because it just reflects the fact that, we can learn how to do anything, but do we really have to do it everything? Delegation and providing and strategically streamlining things so that you have more time for yourself and for your family and to grow your business. That's the smart way to build a business. And so you don't burn out. Nobody likes burnout. I mean, Anthony, do you like burnout? And you don't look like a guy that likes burnout.
No, absolutely not. So awesome. Well, this is always my favorite question to ask since I added it, and it's why you? What sets you apart from everybody else out there doing something similar?
That's a very good question. I love that question because it's true. There are hundreds and hundreds and I would say thousands of, between CPA firms, accounting firms, virtual and, in-person bookkeeping firms, just like how we are, we serve locally here in New Hampshire, but like I also have a client in Florida, like we serve all 50 states. So it's not like we're limited, but anybody, you can go to a lot of people for bookkeeping. You can go for a lot of people for accounting. You can go for a lot of people for tax strategy, CFO services, all that stuff, even marketing. There's a lot of competition out there. But I would say, why me? The reason why me is it just boils down to work ethic and dedication. And the reason I say that is I think kind of like insurance in my especially with my brother-in-law's business, when we worked together, we were burnt by 3 different kinds of firms that were doing accounting for us. And sadly, in my industry, there has been people who may have all these great credentials, MBAs, CPAs, EAs, but that doesn't necessarily mean they 100% care about your business and your interest. I have experienced a lot of those kinds of firms that we're just numbers to them. We just give them the receipts, we give them the things that they need to file taxes, and then they bill us. But to me, I wanted to set myself apart, which is why I don't call myself an accountant. That's why I call myself and my firm growth specialists, because we care about people's businesses. We care about not just the business, but the individual. We care about that aspect, because if the business grows, but all we're doing is burning out the individual, then the business is going to fail eventually. It's like putting a faulty foundation. So if we care about the individual and we care about the business will grow if we care about the individual. So for us, it's about the work ethic to ensure that we go above and beyond. And it's not just doing numbers for people. For us is education. We want to educate the business owner so they can understand why their numbers say the things that they say, because everybody's business, their numbers say a completely different story. A salon business, P&L and balance sheet and all these great statements is not going to tell the same story for a construction business or an excavation contractor or a landscape business, because they all have a different language. And so what I like to differentiate myself, rather than just doing people's numbers and helping with their taxes and strategy and preparation, we like to be very hands-on to help the business owner understand why their business is doing what they're doing. We like to educate. We like to give them the tools. It's not just them depending on us. We want them, essentially, we want our clients to grow to a point where they don't need us anymore, where they need to hire their own internal accounting because they're growing so much. That is what we care about. That's why we're different. I like to focus more on their growth, both on the financial aspect and the personal aspect, so that they are growing a business and they're enjoying their life, because we're helping them get there one step at a time. So we're different in that aspect. We don't want to do just numbers. We want to do strategy. If the strategy means we have to dig into marketing, we'll do that. If the strategy means we have to help them securing retirement, securing, enhancing cash value through life insurance policies or whatever, we'll do that. The bottom line is we're focused on growth, individually, financially, professionally. That's why we're different.
Okay. I know we can go down all the rabbit holes and there's a lot to this, but in general, is there anything that I missed or failed to ask that you wanted to add before we wrap?
No, not necessarily. We pretty much touched on all the good points about, business growth, and just kind of what we do a little bit, and how we can help businesses grow, their profits and grow their cash flow, as well as how they can just be more efficient. Because in this life, we work hard. We should also enjoy our life at the same time. So we did, I think we covered pretty much everything.
Okay. For those that have more questions and want to go down those rabbit holes, what's the best way they get a hold of you? Where can they find you?
Oh, absolutely. So I do have a great website that I developed myself. It's www.lgbstrategicsolutions.com. Those are just my name and initials, Luis Gabriel Benitez. That's how I kind of put my business together. But I'm sure we'll have a link to my calendar. I prefer if they just go to my calendar link. They can book a meeting with me. I do provide 1 hour free strategy sessions for anybody who just want to find ways that they can grow their business, whether it's through bookkeeping, accounting, marketing, sales, whatever. We have all the great partners to be able to cover all aspects of business to help them grow.
Perfect. If anybody would like to get a hold of Luis, absolutely do it. I'm going to put all that in the show notes so it's super easy to find. Go, click, have the conversation, do yourself a favor. He's the exact same in a one-to-one as he was here, so don't be shy. If somebody would like to get a hold of me, you can find me at my website at ikag.me. You can find more episodes, subscribe to our newsletter, and connect with our growing community of awesome people like Luis. If you were somebody you know would like to be interviewed, you can also apply on the website. But thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate you taking the time and sharing with us. You're doing awesome things, and you're just getting started. So I'm really excited to see where you grow after your first year, after your first 5 years, and 10 years from now, because you're doing everything the right way, and I'm excited. So let's all go have an awesome day and grow our circles. All right.
So thank you, Anthony. It's great to be here.